Yo, yo, yo. Tell me what you know. Welcome to the Sunshine Show. Woo! You guys, I have a very special guest for you tonight, this afternoon, this evening, wherever in the world you may roam. I have the one and only, the most amazing, the most phenomenal, the most fabulous, the most Bowie of them all. I have Cici, based out of the UK, in the house. What's up, Cici?
Hello. Oh, good. Thanks. How are you?
Good. What have you been up to today?
Not a lot. To be honest, I spent most of the day in my pajamas and I got dressed just to do this.
Perfect. So for the very few people that may not know who you are, can you give us a brief introduction?
Yep. So I'm a solo bassist and also I play bass in the Dave Simpson trio, presenter on Anderton's TV, and just general freelancer musician thing.
Very nice. And how long have you been playing the bass, Cici?
12 years just coming up for.
Wow, amazing. Very cool. So you are in the UK. What time is it there right now?
It's about 9 p.m, so it's really dark and freezing cold right now.
Is it freezing? Is it like wet and cold or snowy?
Yeah.
Or what's the deal?
Literally today has been just wind and rain all day perpetually and just grey, so it's going pretty well. I do quite like the weather though.
Nice. So do you prefer warm weather over the cold weather?
To be honest, this kind of weather is probably my favourite, but I like seasons to be where they should be. Like if it's cold all summer, it really annoys me, but I don't like it to be hot all the time either. So
sure, absolutely. All right. So tell me a little bit about this bass collection that is behind you.
okay, so yeah, quite a big one. Where to start? Behind me, I have what has become my main gigging bass in the last couple of months. So this is the Schecter Exotic P4. It's got a zebra wood top, and the back is ridiculously photogenic. Sounds absolutely amazing. It's probably the clearest bass I've ever heard in my life. So I literally fell in love with it immediately. I kind of picked it up expecting to just kind of have a bit of a plonk around on it and then put it down in the shop. But as soon as I plucked it out, I was like, oh. And my wallet just kind of went, no! So, listen to it and I got it anyway because thank God I was in a position to at the time and I have not regretted it for a single second. So that's the main gigging bass. All my others are across the room, of course, because I'm prepared. But yeah, over across the room I've got the Ibanez Soundgear SR 700, which is the kind of ready brownie one. That's been my main gigging bass for the last 7 years, so I was really lucky to find that in a cash converters. Lucky find. Also I have the Anaconda Crusher CXE4, which is the first and only custom bass that I have, and even if it's the only one I ever have, I'm like amazed by it. It's just ridiculous, so very, very grateful to have that. The Sire P54, get all these numbers mixed up. That's the kind of surf greeny one. Let me see if I can grab some of these.
Yeah, of course. You guys, thank you all for hanging out with me and Cici Bass this amazing morning, afternoon, night, wherever in the world you may roam. Whoa, I love that.
I know. It's a bit amazing. Yeah, it's really, really nice. Roasted maple neck. No lacquer on the back of the neck, but ridiculously shiny fretboard. So it's really nice. But
wow.
Absolutely love this bass.
I feel like I have a bass book somewhere, and like that is the bass on the front cover of that book.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, it's got a very kind of surf rock feel to it, so I really like it. But yeah, kind of a slightly large collection. Depends how long you want to spend going through the collection.
Wow, very nice. Well, let's check out this chat because you have a lot of people here supporting you. We got Jordan Branch in the house, all the way from California. We got Ollie.
Oh, amazing.
We have Leaf Arrow. Let's see. Ollie says, I always associate you with that sound gear, Cici. Sunny,
Yep.
did you say Worcester yet? Did I say it right? Is it Worcester?
I so want to tell you that you did, but I'm sorry. It was closer than most people. But yeah, it's Worcester. Like Worcester. It's not
Worcester.
at all how you would think it would be, but
Okay, Worcester. Is that right? Worcester.
Worcester.
Worcester. All right, we got
Yeah,
color.
nice.
We got Paul D in the house. What's up, Paul? Thanks for hanging out. Ollie says, I really fancy the 5-string version of the P5.
Oh, they look amazing. I really want to try one of them because I'm kind of trying to delve a bit more into the world of 5-string, so that might be on the agenda.
Very nice. So tell me a little bit about your history. How did you pick up the bass? Why the bass? Tell me the deets.
Cool. So when I was about 11 years old, I accidentally stumbled across a video of Paul Gray from Slipknot teaching how to play one of their songs, Duality, on bass. And I had literally no idea what a bass was. And I didn't know it was called a bass. I thought it was a bass. So after seeing that video, I came downstairs and said to my mum, Mum, I really want to learn the bass. Just like, the what? Oh, do you mean the bass? And then she goes, don't you want to learn real guitar? I was like, no, just bass. And now she's a complete convert and bass is her absolute favorite thing. But yeah, it was that typical mum thing of, well, I'm not really familiar with bass. Don't you want to learn real guitar? But yeah, I've literally, why the bass in particular stuck out to me, I don't know. But I'm really glad it did because I literally don't know what I was doing with my life before I picked it up. So
I love that. It's very therapeutic, isn't it?
yeah, definitely. That's literally my escape and my venting and just everything.
I was playing I have one of my basses here. It's a 5-string. Apparently it's holding my clothing too. A 5-string Hammer Cruise bass, which not a lot of people know about, but it was the first bass to get a 5-star review in Bass Musician magazine.
Wow. It's ridiculously beautiful, that.
Cute little guy there. Yeah, I was having a day yesterday, and it's like, pick up your bass, play some music. I have my ukulele over here. I was also
amazing.
I turned into Bruno Mars last night. Okay, can we just talk about that? Bruno Mars lately. All right, let's see. We got bass start here. He says, "Hey Sunshine, hey Thumpalina."
Hey, I know who that is.
And then we also have a comment about your hair, Cici. How do you have this amazing head of hair? How do you do it?
Genetics, I think, because I've literally, everyone's like, oh, what's your hair care routine and what's your plan with it? I'm like, I literally don't know. I just kind of try not to get buried by it and I let it do what it does. Yeah, so like it out, I just don't really cut it. So there's not really much more to it than that.
Do you dye it yourself?
Yeah. So the very first time I dyed it, I was again 11. It was around when I started playing bass, so it kind of went hand in hand. But the first time I dyed it, it was a mix of red and bleach, so I didn't have to strip all my hair because my natural hair is almost black. So I didn't want anything too harsh on it. So what it did was it just went from black straight to red, and then ever since then I've just put like, it's called a stain on, so it's not constantly hurting my hair. And the only time I'll bleach it now is just to redo the little top bits. But nice. Yeah, that's it really.
Very nice. All right, let's see. Ollie Frost asks, what projects are you working on, Cici?
Okay, so Dave Simpson Trio, obviously gigging, writing, hopefully recording a second album. Lots of solo bass stuff coming up. I mean, I do a lot of, I'll make a new song for every single video I do, and some of those get released on Bandcamp. So I've basically recorded enough videos to get me to the end of the year. So there's loads of things that I'm really waiting and excited to release, but I can't yet. So a few solo bass pieces coming up. Also, solo album on the way. It's been like way too long in the making. And
oh my God, that's really exciting. Let's pause to talk a little bit about this solo album. How many years it's been in the making, and how did you finally pull the cord and say, I'm gonna do it?
Okay, so it started in one of my bass lessons when I was about 15. My bass teacher challenged me to write a song that was just on bass and just like a solo melodic bass piece. So I thought, well, I'd never done anything like that before, and I'd never written a song on my own before. So that was a really fun challenge and really nerve-wracking when I finally got to show him the song. But that song is called Moth, and that's on my YouTube channel. So that was the first thing I ever wrote when I was about 15. And my bass teacher goes, that's actually really good. So it kind of gave me a bit of confidence, and I thought, oh, maybe I could kind of make an album out of this. So I wrote a couple of other kind of like melodic bass pieces, but over the years I kind of ended up getting more and more into playing heavier stuff, and I've kind of somehow ended up with a product of melodic but really heavy, and kind of solo bassy but then complete instrumentals with vocals, etc. And I've played every instrument on the album, so it was quite a kind of challenge to myself to go, right, I'm going to play drums, sing, guitar, bass, and random sound effects on it. So it's been quite a few years in the making, but it's finally kind of there.
Wow. Okay, wait. So you don't just play the bass?
No. So bass is my main instrument, and that's where I feel most at home. Second to that is probably guitar, and then drums, and then like piano and keyboard. So yeah, and singing. But I wouldn't call myself an expert on any of those, but you know, I can get by enough to do an album.
Wow. So how many songs are on your album?
So there's 12.
OMG, that is so impressive. So did you record
Oh,
it?
thank you.
You recorded at home? Did you go into a studio?
To a studio for this, but a couple of the recordings were done at home. So like the original recording of Moth, I wanted to keep that as it was because it was the first kind of incarnation of it, and I thought it deserves to be on the album. So a couple of them were done at home, but in general it was done in a studio, which I was extremely lucky to be able to do. So yeah, I'm just excited to be able to get it out there.
That is really exciting. Okay, so we were talking about your projects. Was there anything else after the solo album that you wanted to mention?
Not particularly. I mean, I'm hoping to do a kind of heavy band project just because I love heavy music, but that's kind of a ways off in the future, but it's kind of in the making. So an exciting thing that'll hopefully come off.
Very nice. All right. We got Underground Roots Clothing in the house. What's up, Scott Weiss? How you doing? Let's see. Bass Star says, ask her how she sees music. How do you see music, Cici?
So I've got this thing called synesthesia, and basically when I hear music or literally any sound in the world, I can see it in different ways. So it's not like it blinds me. It's kind of in your mind's eye, like you're aware it's there and I can focus on it, but it doesn't kind of like, it's not like someone doing this to the point where I can't see. The only time that can kind of happen is if there's like a sudden really loud noise, I'll kind of like see it really starkly. But other than that, I wouldn't say it really gets in the way. But it's a really weird thing to try and explain because a lot of the things I see don't exist in real life. So they're kind of like textures, colors, patterns, and they'll move in really interesting ways. But I can see a song as a whole, like a whole piece of movement and texture and color. But if I focus on the individual instruments, all of those have their own look as well. So like the guitar tone, every individual drum will have its own way of how it looks. So it's quite cool to kind of focus on. But I didn't realize that not everyone had that until I got older. So
wow, that is really cool. Is it like geometric patterns, colors? Like,
yeah, it can be. Funnily enough, a lot of tool stuff ends up being quite geometric, which I guess kind of fits in with the way they are. But yeah, it can be literally anything, like even different guitar sounds. So like if something's really distorted, it can be like a waveform, and that waveform will change from being like really fine grain to being really smooth or really blocky kind of textures. So yeah, it really depends on what it is.
that is so cool. So you were born literally to make music, Cici.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay, let's see. Next question. Who's crazier, you or Dave?
God. See, that depends on the context, because Dave's kind of mental in a comedy way, but then no, because we'll sit and have conversations and it's like we're both as bad as each other, but Dave's coping mechanism when he's nervous is to get really hyperactive, whereas mine is to kind of go inwards. So because I get quite bad anxiety, a lot of the time what people see isn't me in my most relaxed state. So they think, like, the amount of times I have people go, ah, you look so calm in that video, but I'm like, actually I was like, ah, the whole time. And so it's literally, it's just because the way Dave reacts to being anxious is by going mental, and the way my brain reacts to it is by going inwards and kind of looking calm on the outside but not actually being calm.
Okay.
So I to be honest, a household with us both, you actually, I don't think you could decide who was worse.
And for those who may not know who Dave is, please tell us.
So Dave is obviously leader of the Dave Simpson trio. He's got his own YouTube as well. And he also presents one of the things we do on Andertons called Sounds Like. And he's also my partner, so bit of a mix of stuff.
Perfect. All right, let's see. Next question from Steve Birdsong. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. He says, how many basses do you own now? I know you bought a couple more lately.
Yeah, so I've sold a few and bought a few, so I can actually count them. So 16.
Oh my God. Okay, so it's an obsession at this point. It's an addiction.
It's funny because I just filmed my last video for the year, which is about my bass collection, and I was kind of going into like, why so many, and is it necessary? One, I think if you really love something and it makes you happy, then of course it's necessary if you can kind of uphold it and you're sensible with it. But two, to me, all the instruments have their own kind of personality and feel, and all of them give me different kinds of music. So yeah, to me, they're all different and they all do different things really well. So I like to kind of give them a stage.
And so with the, with what you have going on where you actually see the music, does each bass have a different like look in your mind whenever you're hearing it?
Yeah, definitely. So this Sire has a really kind of, it's a really dense look, but it's really clear. Whereas say the one P bass I've got over there that's really warm sounding, it looks dense and kind of muffled. And then the Schecter P bass, just using like all P basses as an example of how they can be different, that just looks really, really clear and not as dense as the others, but that's not in a bad way. It just looks thinner and a bit more transparent. So yeah.
Sure. So what does a Rickenbacker look like in your mind?
So that's a really cool question. They look really gritty and they've got a kind of say it's like a staticky, gritty texture, but it's got kind of square look to it, and the gaps between them are really far apart. If that makes any kind of sense.
I'm loving it. I'm here for it. I'm here for this interview today. That is amazing. I actually have a 1974 and a 1975 4001 Rickenbacker, two of them. And I just love them to death. I love them so much. But
I'm jealous.
It's an acquired sound for a lot of people though.
Mm.
You know?
Yeah. I got to play one recently and unexpectedly fell in love with it. So like maybe someday, but
maybe your 17th bass will be a Rickenbacker. All right, let's check out these comments. Steve Birdsong says Moth is great.
Oh, thank you. Glad you like it.
Bass Star says used to play guitar for a band a few years ago, right, Cici? You played guitar for a band?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, like a kind of covers band, but weirdly, I've done my only ever gig abroad on guitar, not on bass, which is kind of a weird thing for me. And I've done some of my biggest gigs ever on guitar rather than bass. But I've done a couple of big-ish for me gigs on bass. I think the most people I've played to playing bass is about 3,000, which for me is just mental. But yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, let's see. We got Rasta and Z in the house. Rasta ins. I don't know. I'm probably mispronouncing that. What's up? How you doing? Let's see. He says 16 basses. Sheesh. Which one is your go-to bass? I feel like you showed us your go-to bass earlier.
Yeah. It's a mix between, there's three. So the Schecter is probably the number one go-to, and then kind of a tie between the Ibanez SR700 and the Anaconda Crusher CXE4.
Very nice. We got Sammy all the way from Corpus Christi, Texas in the house. He's loving the accent, Cici.
Oh, thank you very much. It's really weird because I don't actually hear my own accent.
That is funny because we can all hear it. We can all hear it. All right,
let's think what I sound like.
All right, Don says, okay, Cici, Rammstein, Slipknot, or Tool, if you had to pick.
No, that's an impossible question. Okay, that's really tough because Rammstein are one of my earliest favorite bands, but so is Slipknot and Tool. And Paul Gray is why I've started playing bass, but Justin Chancellor is one of my favorite bass players. So I'm gonna go with probably Tool because I always hear new stuff in their music. I can just listen to it over and over again, and visually it looks amazing, and I love Justin's bass playing and everything about them. So probably Tool, but that's really not an easy question to answer, so thanks.
I love Tool. I am a Tool girl. I mean, I could just play those bass lines all day, every day.
Yeah, I can see why.
They are amazing. We got Mama Cantu in the house all the way from South Texas. What's up, Mama? Thanks for hanging out. Let's see. Bass Star says, I love some Cici. Always makes me smile to watch her play.
Oh, thank you.
Jordan Branch says, I love her. Her perceptions are beautiful.
Oh, that's really nice to hear.
So sweet. And Scott Weiss says someone has gas, which is, what is that? Something acquisition, gear acquisition syndrome.
Yeah. Weirdly though, say that I'm always kind of looking for new basses. Like I've acquired all of these basses over my entire playing career, and I'll only buy them if I happen to come across some and it feels right. Otherwise, weirdly, I don't actually look for new gear. So I don't know. Does that count as gas? I have no idea.
Who knows? Let's talk about your pedals though. Do you use any pedals?
I do indeed, and there's a lot of them on the floor right now. So I've actually got a video on my pedalboard called Tour of the Mothership, because everyone's dubbed my pedalboard the Mothership because it's kind of ridiculous. I was counting them up yesterday, and all in all, because I've got a multi effects unit on there as well, there's about 16 different effects on there. Um, but I've got the Mel 9, which is obviously based off of Mellotron. So you got like choir, sounds, cello, etc. Chorus, the Polara, which does this really cool backwards breathing kind of sound. Space Station Reverb, Line 6 HX, 90s Morley Wah, Golden Plexi 2, Doctor Strange Fuzz, which is this pedal by a guy called Hubcap John, who has done a pedal that's based off the film Doctor Strangelove, which is one of my all-time favorite films. So that's pretty awesome to have a fuzz pedal that sounds that good and is based off something that I love. And then just a tuner.
The tuner is necessary. Let's see. Ollie wants to know, what effects do you use mainly?
So most of the time, especially in the trio, I'll have the Golden Plexi 2 always on. Apart from a couple of slow blues songs where I'll play clean. I've always got a really, really mild reverb on in the background and a compressor on in the background as well. Not so much to compress, but more to kind of kick it out a bit more and just give it that extra bit of punch. Other than that, the others are kind of just like as and when, but because obviously I'm on my own when I do a lot of the jams in my videos, I end up using basically all of them in some videos or most of them in other videos. So they all get used in different variations in basically every video. So yeah, most of the time.
Very nice. Now let's talk a little bit about your videos. Let's talk a little bit about you building your brand. What has gone into that? How much do you focus on music in your daily life?
Okay, so music wise, I pretty much always thinking about it. If I'm not playing, then my brain's always kind of running through stuff, or I've always got songs going around my head or ideas popping up. Other than that, kind of building the videos, it was Dave that kind of inspired me and gave me that push to really start doing them, because before I was extremely camera shy and I'd wanted to do it, but Dave was like, no, just do it, just do it. So I can thank him for giving me that extra bit of push and confidence. But I'll film 3 videos in a day, and then kind of that'll put me ahead quite a bit. So it's quite hard work because I'll do it kind of every other day. So Dave will film on one day, I'll film on the next, and so on for like 5 days a week. And so there's quite a lot that goes into it. But practice wise, weirdly, I don't really have a practice routine because I don't feel like what I do is practice. Like I always feel like I play all the time. I'm pretty much always playing, unless obviously I can't for whatever reason, just because I feel like doing it. And that to me isn't practice, even though technically whatever you're doing is practice because it all goes towards the same kind of end goal. So I guess it just kind of comes down to that thing of people, there seems to be a misconception that practice should feel like practice, whereas I don't think that's necessarily always the case unless there's something specific that you're trying to kind of head towards. So yeah, a hell of a lot goes into it. It's really, really hard work, loads and loads of traveling, lots of late nights, lots of heavy lifting, and lots of mental effort as well, and lots of dealing with nerves, but it's so worth it.
Oh my gosh. So how do you pick the material that you're going to record?
So basically, if I find a pedal that I like or that a lot of people have asked me to review, I'll do my best to get my hands on it, budget requiring obviously. I'll do what I can, and then kind of if I like it, I'll review it. But I don't really like to review things I don't like because I just feel bad just totally ripping a product apart, and I would never want to lie on a video. So if I don't like something, I'll just say, no, sorry, it's not for me. I don't want to review it, if that makes any sense.
Sure, absolutely. So how can people find these videos? Are they on your YouTube?
Yep. So every single one of them is on YouTube. My YouTube is CC Base, so CICI Base. Lots of people get confused about how to spell my name, but it's not as bad as my real name.
Wait, what's your real name?
It's Karina.
Karina.
Yeah, I ended up being Cici because when people would ask my name at loud gigs, I'd be like, "It's Karina," and they'd be like, "What? Ribena? Katrina?" I'm like, "No, no." And then when they try and write it down, it'd be like KOR. I'm like, "No, it's all wrong. Just stop." So in the end, I ended up just being Cici because it was easier to say in loud places and have people actually kind of get it right. So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
actually Karina or Nina at home. Or if
very.
you're Dave, I'm Queenie.
Oh, I love that. Let's see. We have a question here. Do you have a favorite video game, Cece?
Yeah, so many. That's a really tough one to pick just one, but I'd probably say it's Ratchet and Clank, the original game, because literally I played that from about age 2 with my dad. So I've got loads and loads of memories with that, and the music from those games has inspired me so much. The music from a lot of games has, but the guy who does the music for them, David Burgo, just seems to have a knack for just amazing kind of feelings and getting different scenery across. So
OMG. Do you ever like live stream on Twitch while you're gaming?
I've actually always wanted to, but I'm not really sure how to set it up. But I would really like to, so it might be on the cards.
That is that we are putting that into the universe because we all want to watch you
Please.
play. How do you feel about Legend of Zelda?
Do you know, I've actually never played it and I've always wanted to, but I don't have a way of playing it. So,
Well, we're gonna have to make that happen. I like
yep.
the music. I really love the music on Legend of Zelda as well.
Yeah. I remember I heard when I was younger one of the songs, I think it was the Song of Healing, where it's like wolves howling it. And when I was younger, that song actually really stuck with me for some reason because it felt kind of creepy but comforting all at the same time.
Creepy yet comforting. I feel like that describes me perfectly, everybody. Creepy but comforting all day long. Guys, you are hanging out with me, Sunshine, your host of the Sunshine Show, and Cici Base, all the way out of the UK, out of Worcester. Wait, did I say it right?
Nearly Worcester.
Worcester. There you go, you guys. If you have any questions for Cici, drop them there in the chat. All right, cool. So do you have like a stage, like a ritual you do before you get on stage to perform? I know you talked about anxiety. How do you get over anxiety and performing in public?
So I don't really have a set ritual. I mean, I've got OCD, which tends to flare up when I get anxious. So I'm always doing kind of like little weird things. But I've had that for so long that I don't actually even really know what I do anymore because it just kind of happens. So I guess there's that aspect. But other than that, I just try to stay as relaxed as possible, not get too worked up, and just kind of have as good a time as possible beforehand. I don't, well, I'm allergic to alcohol and I'm asthmatic, so no smoking or drinking.
That's
So,
probably a good thing.
yeah, so I've been told many times. But yeah, so that's not really part of a ritual either. So there's not really anything other than just trying to stay relaxed, basically. And anxiety wise, getting over nerves and actually doing it, I really don't quite know how I do it because I just seem to just force myself into it, if that makes sense. Um, I'm so used to having anxiety just in general places anyway that in order to kind of do anything, I just have to force myself to do it. So I guess I've kind of got used to just kind of pushing through and kind of thinking, well, even if the worst thing possible went wrong in a year's time or 5 years' time, it's literally nothing. It won't even matter. And that always helps me through, as well as trying to remember, like, I think everything happens the way it should, and the universe kind of direct things in the direction they should go. So whatever happens, it's what's meant to happen.
Oh, look at Cici dropping that life advice for all y'all at home. Let's see. Mama Cantu says, wonderful interview. Thanks for sharing my afternoon with me here in South Texas.
Oh, amazing.
Mama always says it's like 200 degrees down there in Texas. And we have to believe Mama, because Mama doesn't do exaggerations. Okay, so it's got to be down there.
That sounds really, really hot. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but I'm pretty sure it's not nice.
It's like the inside of an oven, okay, on low.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Let's see. Don McDaniel wants to know if you know Sarah Walker.
Yeah, not amazingly well, but I am familiar with her. Yeah.
We are huge fans of Miss Sarah Walker here on the Sunshine Show. She has been on before and she's such a treat. You guys should definitely do like a video together or something cool.
Yeah.
You guys are so close.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to do that.
All right, let's see. Jordan Branch, anxiety sucks. I'm a forcer too. Don't want to look back on a life of regrets. Love that, Jordan. Jordan
Definitely.
is an amazing singer-songwriter out of Modesto, California. I think it's Modesto. I know I get it wrong every time, but OMG, the voice on this woman is like Janis Joplin times like Ella Fitzgerald or something. It's
no way. I need to hear this now.
Yeah, crazy. I will send you a link
Awesome.
when we get out of here. Redding, California. There we go. Let's see. Baystar says it's 68 in Denver, Colorado. Wait, is that you, Paul? Is Baystar Paul? I'm wondering.
Yeah.
Oh, it is Paul Tar.
Yeah, Paul Tar.
I love Paul. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I send so much love to you and your family. Let's see. Now they want to know about Becky Baldwin. Do you know Becky Baldwin?
I do indeed. Yeah. I think I did my first gig share with her when I was about 13. So yeah, I've known her for a really long time. And the guitarist in now her band was the guitarist in the band I was in, Aramantis. So Jake Elwell. So yeah, I know her relatively well. Also, the singer of Aramantis is now in Becky's band too. So it's a small world.
All the amazing female bass players live in the UK, everybody. Besides me, I'm here in California. Okay.
Of course.
Cool. So let's talk about your rig. What kind of amp do you play out of?
So I don't know if you can actually see it behind me, but my main rig is the Ashdown ABM 600, and I'll just use an Ashdown 410 cab in general. Or I've got the Mesa Boogie down there. Hopefully you can kind of see that for the kind of huge monstrous sounds that are required sometimes. But yeah, most of the time it's just that head and a 410 cab does the job really nicely.
Very, very nice. And do you have a preference when it comes to strings?
I really like the Dario strings, and I'll use quite a light gauge. I'm trying to think exactly what they are because they're so light now. I've literally just changed and I keep having trouble remembering them by the actual numbers. I'm kind of going off color right now because I'm not very good with numbers because I'm dyscalculic, which is like dyslexia with numbers. So I just remember things better with colors and stuff like that. But yeah, so I use quite a light gauge, generally D'Addario, if not Rotor Sound. I really like as well.
You love Roto Sound sponsored artist right here. So I'm
amazing
supporting.
That's so cool.
Do you have endorsements?
I do, yeah. So I'm endorsed by Ashdown, Anaconda Basses, and also a company called Scott Dixon. They do flight cases that are really heavy duty. So
very, very, very nice. All right, Cici. So what do you do when you're not playing music, when you're not making videos, review videos, writing your album? Like, do you even have time for anything else in your life?
To be honest, this year it hasn't felt like it. It's like it was 2022, I blinked, and now it's nearly the end of the year. It's been like the busiest year I've ever had. But yeah, aside from music and stuff like that, my go-to things are video games. I've always loved them. And also I really like exploring places, so just kind of going for walks in nature and exploring castles and stuff like that. I just can't get enough of it. So
Exploring castles.
yeah, welcome to the UK.
I want to go explore castles with you, Cici. Okay.
There's a place not too far from me because I live kind of in the middle of nowhere, which is perfect for me because I just like being out in the woods and in the wilderness. But you can see it from my house, and we call it the Folly. It's not a castle, but it's kind of a single castle wall with a stairwell, and it looks like a castle, but it was just kind of built as like a fake thing back years and years and years ago. But I've got, I think, 4 generations of my family's name are carved all the way down that stairwell. 4 or 5 generations.
That's so cool. Where does the stairwell lead?
Literally nowhere. It was literally just built as like a folly. It was just like what do you call it, like a facade.
Okay. Interesting. Wow, that is really cool. There's a castle here in California called the Hearst Castle, and I
Oh,
want to go see it so bad. I've seen like all the documentaries on A&E about it, and like
yeah.
there's like all this imported stuff there. At some point in my life, I'm gonna go see it. And when you come to California, we will go together.
Oh, amazing. That is literally my dream. I'd love to do that.
Have you been to the States yet?
Nope. I've literally not. I think the only places I've been is France, Germany when I was really young, the Netherlands, and Spain, and that's it. So
Do you have plans to come to the United States at some point?
I would absolutely love to. It's really hard, kind of trying to like, get into a position to be able to do it, and especially financially at the moment. But it's definitely something that I'm kind of trying to work towards. So hopefully in the future that will happen.
Very nice. So you said that your band is a three-piece. What's the name of the band again?
The Dave Simpson Trio.
The Dave Simpson Trio. So tell me a little bit about this trio. What kind of music do you guys play?
So it's a blues rock trio, but not as you know it. We're kind of extremely heavy for a blues band.
Okay.
Some songs almost border on kind of Black Sabbathy metal style riffs, but it's at its core, it's blues based. But yeah, just very heavy.
Very nice. And so how many days a week do you guys perform, or is it more like a couple times a month?
It's kind of as and when. So most of the time, we'll try and do at least 2 gigs in a month. Um, but sometimes we get more. Like we've got about 4 in a row in one week coming up this month. But other than that, it's kind of just what we can get and just kind of when we can all meet up because basically me and Dave go from where I live in Worcester up to Louth fairly regularly, but that's about a 4 hour drive. And a lot of the gigs we do are up in Louth because our drummer is from this place called Newark, which is only an hour from Louth, but 3 hours from where I live. So
Okay.
it just kind of makes sense to do a lot of the gigs up there because that's kind of where they're based.
Sure.
But I want to get some more gigs down here as well.
Is it hard working with people that live so far away?
Well, not particularly because obviously me and Dave kind of live together anyway, so we're together basically all the time and we're constantly kind of bouncing ideas off each other. And our drummer John Joe, we're in contact with him a lot anyway, and he's just amazing. Like you tell him one thing and he knows exactly where to take it and he can just do it on the fly. So yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, tell me the qualities you look in for your like superstar drummer, because you can't just drum with anybody, right? You really have to get along.
Yeah,
Tell me about
absolutely. Okay. So for me, qualities number one is the music first, always above anything else. Not ego, not image, not any of that. Uh, Obviously, I love dressing up on stage. That's something I love to do. but first and foremost in music to me is the most important thing. And I think if you gel really well together, so if I'm playing and we really bounce off each other, you get that kind of psychic style connection going on, that's always a really good sign to me. So I don't mind what style drummer plays in. I can play in like any band that wants me to do whatever style, as long as I gel with the drummer. So yeah, basically just music is constantly listening for what's best for the song and what's best for the music, rather than being just putting random fills in for the sake of it that kind of can sometimes take away from the songs. And hopefully I try and do that on bass as well when I'm not doing the solo stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see. Paul says Dave is a great guitarist and vocalist, and Joe is a great drummer.
Yeah, they're a bit ridiculous.
My mom just wrote castles 3 times. Castles. Love you so much. Let's see. Do you have an alter ego on stage?
Not really. So it's kind of a weird one to explain, because off stage I surprise people, and quite often I've had people not realize it was me on stage, because on stage you tend to look a lot taller, and I'm 4'11" and quite quiet when I'm off stage. Yeah, really small, quite dainty, but
that
so
is
quite often
sorry
when I come off when I come off stage, people kind of like do a bit of a double take. I'll walk past me and I go, wait, were you just playing? I was like, yeah, that was me. Oh, I didn't even realize. So my hair is kind of the main thing I think that makes people realize. But in terms of personality, kind of I move quite a lot, and I guess I move kind of weirdly sometimes, but I just move how the song makes me feel, and I just let it come out. So anything that comes out on stage, despite being different to how I am off stage, is still a genuine part of me. I just think there's different kinds of facets to who I am that make me a whole thing, if that makes any sense.
Sure, absolutely. So do you do like any head banging or anything like that?
Yep. Yeah, especially in my old band, we were like a prog metal band, so there was a lot of windmilling going on. But I still find places to headbang in the blues trio as well, because of course.
With hair like that, how could you not? I played reggae for most of my life, and one of the last reggae bands I was in, like if you were to see video of me with the sound off, it would look like I was performing in like a heavy metal band, because like I'm all over the place. It's amazing. Reggae, you know. It's reggae.
Video of you playing, and I was like, that's so cool. But yeah, so I know exactly what you mean, because I didn't have the sound on at first.
Oh my god, that's too funny. Let's see. Dawn says that your bass is bigger than you. Can you confirm or deny this?
I can confirm, especially if I grab this one, which is a flying V. 1 second.
You guys, thank you all for hanging out with me and Cici Bass on the Sunshine Show. Whoa.
It doesn't even fit in the shot, but I'm standing up, right? And that's where it comes to.
Oh my goshness, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing, Cici.
A bit ridiculous.
I would have never guessed you're just a teeny tiny little Powerball, little buttercutter. Love it.
Yeah, the amount of people that, like, if they see me in person for the first time, like, oh, you're a lot smaller than I thought. Like, I'm not surprised.
Oh my goodness, you are just the right amount of perfect, Cici, just so that you know.
Thank you.
All right, guys, if you have any questions, we're going to start wrapping this up in about 10 minutes. We've been going on for about an hour. So if you have any last minute questions, make sure to drop them there in the chat so we can get to them. So Cici, one question I ask all of my guests that come on the show: if you could throw a dinner party for any 5 musicians, dead or alive, who would those 5 musicians be, and what would you serve at your dinner party?
Okay, that is an amazing question. So off the top of my head, I would probably want John Frusciante, the guitarist from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. probably Justin Chancellor. I would say Paul Gray because he's the man who made me start playing bass.
Okay.
This is really tough. Probably Paul Landers from Rammstein. And see, it's always the last one that gets me. Like, don't forget anyone. Probably Maynard James Keenan because he's got a ridiculous voice and I find him really fascinating. So
beautiful.
Yeah, food wise, it would have to be obviously my favorite meal, which is sweet and sour chicken, Cantonese style.
Sweet and sour chicken. I am loving this right now. I'm glad most people that come on here say roasted pig, and I have to cover my ears because my pig is outside in the front yard and he doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't appreciate it, Cici. So I'm glad you went with the chicken. Let's see. Sammy wants to know, do you have a favorite place that you've played?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, I loved playing in the Netherlands, but I did kind of have a lot of technical issues there, so maybe not that one. The Riverhead Theatre, which I just played at recently, because that had a really, really nice atmosphere, and was really cool to play on kind of a theatre stage. I've never played at a theatre before. If not, maybe the 100 Club in London, because the energy there is like ridiculous. It's like nothing I've ever felt. So one of those two.
Okay. Very, very nice. All right, you guys. We're having a great time. My mom's saying it keeps repeating. It's not me. I don't know why it's doing that. And then she did it again. So mom's not doing it on purpose. YouTube is double posting her comments, everybody. So it's all good, mama. We love you so very much. All right, so we are getting requests and you can do this or not. We want to hear something creepy yet comforting. Can you sing us a song?
Me? Oh God.
You don't have
you
to.
Don't want me to do that.
That's totally fine. No worries at all. So we got my wife, Lindsay Cantu, in the house. What's up, Lindsay? Thank you for hanging out with us all the way from San Diego, California. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to start wrapping this up. I'm going to ask you for your best piece of advice for everybody watching, everybody listening at home on the podcast.
Okay, so I would say always go with what feels right to you. Don't let anybody try and sway you in a different direction. If it feels like you're really pushing against something, pushing against the current, then it's probably not right. Listen to what the universe is trying to tell you and what it's trying to give you, and also always keep an ear out for what music is trying to tell you. So if you're playing a song and you hear this little kind of voice or something that's going, you need to do this here, always listen to it, because music knows best, bar none. It knows better than anyone. So that is probably the best advice I can come up with.
Beautiful, absolutely beautifully said. Cici, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I've had the time of my life getting to know you. What is the best way that we can support you?
So subscribing to my YouTube channel would be amazing. I do have a Patreon, but obviously that's totally optional. There's no tiers or anything. It's literally just whatever people feel like. But yeah, YouTube is what I'm really, really trying to push. Bandcamp as well. So just generally streaming, listening to my music is incredibly helpful as well, and really means the world to me. So yeah, in whatever way anyone feels like, it works for me.
So let's talk really quick about your Patreon that you have. What do you offer on there?
So literally what the Patreon is literally just a thing where if someone feels they want to support me in the sense that, oh, I'll pledge $1 or £1, it can literally be Okay, there's something really terrifying going on behind me.
Ah!
Creepy but comforting.
Creepy but comforting. Okay, I am loving
Guess
this.
who that is?
I am
She's
loving
loving it. But yeah, the Patreon, anyways, if that never happened, it's just a normal thing in this house. Um, it's kind of a bit of a weird one in that, again, there's no tiers, so it's not like if you sign up and you pledge this much, you'll get access to this special video. It's literally just an optional thing because I know not everyone has the money to kind of do stuff like that. So I really want to just put that information out there for anyone. And if they feel like supporting me because of that content, then it's massively appreciated. So.
Awesome. And then when are you coming out with your podcast? Because I know that's got to be next.
That is a genius idea. I've never actually thought of that.
Hey girl. Hey.
Guest will be.
Awesome. I have had such a great time. Maybe next time I will interview Dave and maybe you guys could like play some music for us. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be awesome.
I know that your time is precious. You could be anywhere in the world right now and you're here with me and it means the absolute world to me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it and it means a lot to be part of it. So thank you.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we start wrapping this up?
I think that's pretty much everything I can think of.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you guys all for hanging out with us today. You guys are the MVP, MVP, the most valuable player. Okay, get it together, Sonny. Get it together. I love you guys all so much. I don't know what my next interview is because Dawn, my amazing secretary, has not let me know the schedule for the rest of the week. Also, I am banned from Facebook for a couple of days. So I know your hearts are broken. Mine is too, but we have Dawn. So Dawn will always like drive the bus for us. I don't know what that means, Cici. I do not know what that means. All right,
as long as they know what you mean.
I don't think they do. I don't think anyone talking about. All right, guys, thank you so much. Remember to be kind to the people around you. You never know the battles that people are going through. Try to keep a smile on your face. Do not bully, you guys. Bullying is a real thing. It's not okay. It hurts a lot of people. If you don't have anything kind to say, just keep your mouth shut. And stay safe out there because it is a dangerous fucking world. All right, Cici, on 3, let's say bye. You ready?
Yep.
All right, 1, 2, 3.
Bye.
Bye.